You need to see the big picture. America's race relations are becoming intertwined with racial politics from both ends of the political spectrum, and what author Vince Everett just said may prove to be the most accurate prediction for this upcoming election. And why? Well, in the last few years, especially after 2020, the African American communities have started to realize that decades of Democratic policies have only sold them a victim narrative. An increasing number of them now look for a more empowering message from a different political side. This is about to be a really interesting discussion, so watch this clip before we delve into it.
This is why now, Tucker, from what you've been doing, about 30% of the black vote has left the Democratic Party over the last year. It started with our George Floyd interview, and then black people started paying attention, and now it's leaving. And Joe Biden's in a panic. The Democrats are in a panic. This is catastrophic for them. No Republican has gotten over 20% of the black vote. Nobody's gotten over 15%. If Trump gets 20% of the black vote, the Democratic Party is done forever.
Do you think he has a chance?
Oh, I think he's got a chance to get more. My next podcast coming out this Tuesday is going to be Donald Trump, the true first black president.
The question is that confidence warranted? Well, I think statistics provide a much clearer and more unbiased picture of America's shifting political sands. Forget even what the projections are for 2024, because we've already got the last two presidential elections to see that. By the way, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell for more discussions like this. There's been at least a 50% rise in the African American vote for Donald Trump between 8% in 2016 to 12% in 2020. And guess why that 12% figure is important? No Republican president in the last half a century has crossed that threshold for the African American vote, but that may be about to change. An NBC News poll at the end of last year revealed that over 20% of African Americans in the country would consider voting for Donald Trump as Joe Biden's approval ratings fall further. Could that translate into votes at the ballot box? I don't know, but the Biden campaign can't be resting on that before waking up. There's something seriously wrong with the Democratic messaging to the African American community, and that part can't afford for it to turn into a larger wave. It's clear that there's a degree of complacency that has taken over the Democratic Party, as pointed out by Vince Everett in his book, The Iron Triangle, but also the disempowering victim narrative that just not as interesting anymore, and it doesn't just come in the form of social welfare policies or affirmative action, but by using the African American community as political capital for the party. And that implicit truth came out when Joe Biden made this gaffe in a conversation with radio host Charlemagne the God with the infamous "You ain't black" comment.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Biden apologized for that, and you can attribute that to his usual incoherence if you like, but the larger point is that there is a shift in the political tectonic plates, and a populist like Donald Trump is more than happy to capitalize on any resentment he can find and turn it into support for himself. And the effectiveness of his message can be gauged by how he's even able to turn his own trials and convictions into political capital for the election.
And they know that if they take out Trump, who's going to take his place? Who can walk up right now if Donald Trump is destroyed in the Republican Party and says, and have that crowd come behind him like they've come behind Trump? I don't think the person exists, and they know that. And so this was how the Democratic Party does a coup. They don't use bullets, they use the justice system. I mean, look at who they locked. They locked up Manafort. They locked up, they're trying to get Bannon now. They locked up his the trade guy with China. I forget his name.
Peter Navarro.
Yeah, Peter Navarro. They got Navarro locked up now. Now they got Trump. I mean, the people don't see what this is.
The answer to that question is maybe the MAGA sentiment of the Republican base will eventually have to fizzle out into the mainstream party over time, because despite the fact that there's no shortage of firebrand politicians in the party, there's no one that can immediately fill Trump's shoes in case he's taken out of the picture. But on the other end of the political spectrum, Biden being taken out of the picture would probably mean a boost for the prospects of the Democrats, with perhaps the likes of Gavin Newsom or even Kamala Harris. But while the threat of sentencing and conviction looms over Donald Trump, his biggest political roadblock still remains the legal battles he's embroiled in. Exactly how that plays out in conjunction with America's racial politics is still only prediction until November comes, but one important point that Vince Everett did bring up to Tucker Carlson is the issue of abortion and how that ties into the disempowering message that he believes the African American community has been sold.
You know, you tell them that you can kill them inside the womb. Well, why do you? Well, that means you can kill them outside of it too. So why do you think the murder rate's so high in the black community? There's no virtue in life. You told them you can kill them inside the womb, so why can't I kill them outside the womb? So now we're killing one another. And now the nation is dying. And when you don't have any respect for life, you have no respect for anything else, because that's the most important thing. Our Bible tells us, I lay before you blessings and curses, life and death. Choose life so that you and your children shall live. Choose life. We're choosing death. Democratic Party is a death cult. They know what they're doing.
Take someone like him to say it, but the stats actually bear that out. 37% of all abortions in the country happen among the African American community, despite only making up 13% of the population, according to a study from the Guttmacher Institute. Part of the findings reveal that, and I quote, Black and Hispanic women have much higher abortion rates than white women because they have much higher rates of unintended pregnancy. That's a sad reflection not on that community, but on the party that has claimed to be championing their rights and giving them a narrative for decades now. And yet, many of the racial inequalities and problems require the Democratic Party to first be honest with itself, which is where the greatest disconnect is opening up between its leaders and the voter base. For someone like Vince Everett who wants to empower the African American community, abortion is just one such issue, and gun control is another. This is a debate that's made interesting when you look at it in the context of America's race relations and history.
You take away the rights of people to keep and bear arms in a war zone, knowing that the police in Detroit is 2 hours away, and the criminals know that? You have people riding down the dangerous highways and you tell them they can't be armed, and everybody on and every crook on that highway knows that, so if they see your car broke down, they know you don't have a gun and they can rob you. Carjackings in DC, why? Because they can't carry a gun in their car. Think criminals are stupid? Why do you think they carjack people in DC like that? You can't carry a gun in your car in DC.
Because they're defenseless.
Yes. And who makes that happen? They know this. What did Machiavelli said? He said that there is no relationship between an armed and a disarmed man. Armed man has all the power. All of it. And when you disarm a person, he's no longer free.
There is a cold logic to it. Things like valuing life, knowing that you can defend yourself physically, and understanding that the government is not going to save you are some of the first steps towards truly empowering yourself as part of a larger nation, especially one that has proven time and time again to give you the opportunity to make it big if you work hard at something and have the right talent. Let me know in the comments how America stacks up in the metrics against other places in the world. Vince Everett said this message to Tucker Carlson, but maybe it has to be heard by more people, because even if you don't agree with him, it's hard to deny that he can articulate a case for his ideas, and that needs to be part of the conversation.